Has anyone ever sat you down and told you the brutal truth about what life is really like after age 80? Crossing into your 80s isn't just about adding another candle to the cake or waking up a little slower. It's about a subtle but profound shift, something far deeper than what most people prepare for. It's a stage of life filled with contrast, rich wisdom and quiet loss, deep presence and unexpected distance, moments of peace and waves of loneliness. And if you're not ready for these changes, if no one has warned you, they can hit hard. Not because you're weak, but because no one told you what to expect. That's what we're here to do today. In this video, we're going to walk through 5 honest, sometimes painful realities about life after 80. Not to frighten you, and certainly not to depress you, but to empower you. Because when you can see what's coming, you're not at the mercy of it. You can prepare, you can adapt, and most importantly, you can live through it with strength, dignity, and peace. We'll talk about the quiet disappearance of your social circle, the body that doesn't recover like it used to, the creeping, uncomfortable need for help, the subtle way society starts to overlook you, and the haunting ache of old regrets. When life slows down, stay with us until the end, because while these truths may feel heavy, they also reveal something beautiful. A new chance to live with clarity, resilience, and purpose on your terms. Let's dive in. 1. A social circle that quietly disappears. One of the first changes that sneaks up on you after 80 has nothing to do with your body. It's about your relationships. The people who used to fill your days slowly begin to fade. Some pass away. Others move away. Some simply become quieter, less connected. Even those who once called weekly start calling every few months, if at all. And here's the hardest part. It's not because they've stopped caring. It's just life, time. But it leaves behind a silence. You wake up one morning and notice the phone doesn't ring like it used to. The invitations don't come as often. Visits feel shorter, more rushed. You're still loved, but now everyone's busy, or aging in their own way, or simply drifting. This loss of connection is quiet, subtle. It doesn't announce itself. In your 60s and 70s, the world is still full. Family gatherings, neighbors stopping by, familiar voices checking in. But somewhere in your 80s, that energy begins to thin. You outlive people. You outpace conversations. And the silence grows. I once knew a man named Walter, 84 years old. He used to visit the same coffee shop every morning. It was his ritual. The staff knew his order. His friends met him there. No planning needed. But one by one, those friends stopped coming. Some passed, some moved, others simply stopped driving. One day, Walter told me, "It's strange, walking into a place where everyone used to know your name, and now you're just the man in the corner booth." That kind of loneliness isn't loud. It doesn't always come with tears. Sometimes it's just the silence after dinner, or a walk that feels a little too quiet. You begin to notice the list of people who truly know you is getting shorter, and there's no stopping it. But here's the hope. Once you see this coming, you can prepare. You can open new doors, even as others close. Whether it's joining a local group, calling an old friend yourself, or writing letters, connection doesn't just happen after 80. You have to create it. And you can. Because if you've made it to this point in life, you already have the courage it takes. 2. A body that no longer bounces back. By the time you hit 80, your body doesn't whisper anymore. It speaks loud and clear. The little aches that used to fade now linger. That wave of tiredness doesn't lift after a nap. It sometimes stretches into the next day. And here's what catches many people off guard. Even small health issues can suddenly change everything. One morning you feel fine. By nightfall you're dizzy. A sore leg flares up. A cough sticks around. Before you know it, you're in a waiting room, hearing words like monitoring, imaging, or possible admission. What used to pass with a little rest now demands real attention. And even when you recover, things don't always go back to the way they were. The hard truth, the bounce back, is gone. I once spoke with a woman named Gloria. She was 81, bright, energetic, and independent. She tended her garden, walked her neighborhood, led a book club. But after a minor fall while trimming a rose bush, everything changed. "It wasn't the fall that got me," she said. "It was the aftermath. I thought I was just taking a break, but my body treated it like a full stop. Weeks of rest turned into months of lost strength. Her confidence wavered. And that's the reality no one talks about. Rest isn't always restorative after 80. Sometimes, even careful rest becomes slow decline. And even if you do everything right, eat well, move gently, get your sleep, your body may still decide to slow down. It feels like your body is making decisions you didn't agree to. But there's strength here too. Because once you understand this, you stop waiting to bounce back. Instead, you adapt forward. You pace yourself with wisdom. You treat health not as something to expect, but as something to honor daily. You walk slower, but more intentionally. You rest longer, but with purpose. And though your body may have changed, your spirit hasn't weakened. It's wiser now, stronger in a quieter way. If this message is resonating with you, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're still with us. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do so. Your support helps us continue sharing honest, useful content that supports your health, heart, and dignity in every stage of life. Now, let's keep going. Title: The 5 Brutal Truths of Life After 80. And how to face them with strength. Did anyone ever tell you the brutal truth about life after 80? Crossing into your 80s brings a quiet shift that few people talk about. Not the surface-level things like birthdays or slower mornings, but the deeper, often unspoken changes. It's a time filled with both wisdom and loss, presence and distance, deep peace, and sometimes deep loneliness. And if you're not prepared for those shifts, they can catch you off guard, leaving you wondering, why didn't someone tell me? In this video, we'll walk through 5 brutal realities of life after 80. Not to scare you, not to depress you, but to offer clarity. Because when you see these things coming, you're no longer at their mercy. You can prepare. You can meet them with strength instead of surprise. We'll talk about shrinking circles, a body that doesn't bounce back, the creeping dependence that feels uncomfortable, even when it's necessary, the quiet way society starts to overlook you, and that strange ache that appears when old regrets meet too much time and too little purpose. Stay with us until the end, because while some of these truths may feel heavy, they also open the door to something powerful: acceptance, resilience, and a chance to shape the final stretch of life with the kind of dignity no one else gets to define but you. Let's talk about what really happens after 80 and how you can walk through it with open eyes, steady hands, and your head held high. 1. A social circle that quietly disappears. One of the first changes after 80 isn't physical, it's relational. The people who once filled your world begin to fade, often without warning. Friends pass, neighbors move, siblings grow quiet, Even lifelong companions who once called every week start calling every few months. It's not personal, it's just time. But the silence it leaves behind can feel hollow. No matter how strong or independent you are, you wake up one morning and realize the phone doesn't ring like it used to. The invitations slow. The family visits become shorter, more rushed. People still love you. They're just busy, distracted, or dealing with their own aging in different ways. And slowly, the everyday interactions that once filled your life with laughter and conversation begin to thin out. In your 60s and 70s, most people are still around. There's movement, check-ins, energy. But after 80, there's a quiet shift. You begin to outlive people. You outpace conversations. And it happens so subtly, you may not even notice it at first. I once knew a man named Walter, 84 years old. Every morning, he went to the same coffee shop. The staff knew his order. Friends met him there without texting first. It was a rhythm. But over time, those friends stopped coming. Some passed, some moved, others just stopped driving. One day, Walter told me, "It's strange to walk into a place where everyone used to know your name, and now you're just the man in the corner booth." That kind of loneliness isn't always loud. It doesn't come with tears. Sometimes it's just the long silence after dinner, or a walk that feels a little too quiet. But here's the truth. Knowing this can empower you, because you can do something about it. You can open new doors when others close. You can stay connected, on your terms, through a church group, a weekly lunch, a phone call you initiate, even a handwritten letter. After 80, connection doesn't always come to you. You have to go get it. And yes, it takes courage, but you've made it this far. That courage is already in you. 2. A body that stops bouncing back. By the time you reach 80, your body doesn't whisper anymore. It speaks loud and clear. The aches that once came and went now linger. The fatigue that a nap used to fix, it can stretch into the next day. And even small health issues can flip your life upside down in hours. You might feel fine in the morning. Then something small feels off. Maybe a dizzy spell, a sore leg, a cough that lingers. Next thing you know, you're in a waiting room, hearing words like monitoring, imaging, or possible admission. What used to be brushed off with rest now demands attention, and sometimes things don't go back to normal. It's not just the physical pain, it's the unpredictability. You can eat right, move gently, sleep well, and still feel like your body is making decisions without you. I met a woman named Gloria, 81, sharp, independent, proud. She gardened, walked daily, loved her book club. One day she slipped while trimming her rosebush. Not a major injury, but it changed everything. "It wasn't the fall," she said. "It was the aftermath. I thought I was just taking a break, but my body treated it like a full stop." That's the truth no one tells you. Rest isn't always restorative after 80. It can turn into decline, unless you're intentional. But here's the strength in that truth. You begin to honor your energy. You pace yourself, not from fear, but from respect. You treat health not as a guarantee, but a sacred daily practice. And while your bounce might be gone, your footing becomes steadier. Even a slower body can still carry a strong spirit. If you're still with me, comment number 2 below, so I know you're here. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell if you find this helpful. 3. A growing need for help. No matter how independent you are, after 80, you start needing help. Not all at once. It sneaks in. Quietly, you avoid the high cabinets. You grip the railings tighter. You hesitate before driving on rainy days. And while part of you feels capable, another part knows some things just aren't easy anymore. But what makes this hard isn't just the physical shift, it's the emotional one. For people who've spent their lives taking care of others, the idea of needing help can feel uncomfortable, even painful. You might start hiding it, skipping the grocery trip, not telling your kids about that fall. You try to fix the light bulb, even though your shoulder's been hurting for weeks. The desire to stay independent doesn't go away. It often gets stronger. But here's the truth. Independence at 80 doesn't mean doing everything alone. It means knowing when to ask for help and being brave enough to accept it. Eugene-85- was one of those proud do-it-yourself types. Built his own shed, raised 4 kids, survived war. One winter, he slipped on his icy driveway. No broken bones, just bruised pride. He didn't tell anyone, but his daughter noticed. She started bringing groceries once a week, staying for coffee. At first, he resisted. "I'm fine," he'd say. But over time, that coffee became a ritual. And one day he said something that surprised even him. "It's nice not having to carry everything alone. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. And not all help comes from people. It could be a grab bar in the shower, a kitchen stool, a phone reminder. These things don't take away your dignity. They preserve it." After 80, the bravest words you might say are, "I could use a hand." Fourth, a presence the world starts to overlook. One of the more painful parts of aging isn't in your body. It's in your visibility. Slowly, the world starts to look past you. The cashier talks to the person behind you. The doctor talks to your adult child instead of you. The server assumes you can't think or hear or decide for yourself. It's not always intentional, but it hurts. Because you've lived, you've worked, raised families, built lives. And now, because of gray hair and slower steps, you're overlooked. Irene-86- volunteered at a museum. One day, a visitor asked about an exhibit from a decade she lived through. They asked the staff, not her. She smiled and said, "I'm used to it." But there was sadness in that smile, the kind that comes when people stop seeing your fire and start treating you like furniture. But you are not furniture. You're a living library, a witness to time, a voice that still matters. So what can you do? You speak anyway. You ask questions, offer opinions, vote. Tell your stories, even if no one asks. Take up space, stand, even if your knees wobble. Because every time you do, you remind the world and yourself, you are not done yet. Still here? Comment number 4 below if this spoke to you. And don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. 5. A sense of regret if purpose isn't redefined. As you move deeper into your 80s, life slows. The calendar empties, and with that stillness comes reflection. Sometimes that's beautiful. Other times, it brings regret. Not the loud, dramatic kind. The quiet kind. I wish I'd spent more time with them. Why didn't I take that chance? Why did I wait so long? The danger isn't in having regrets. We all do. The danger is sitting in them too long, without turning them into something meaningful. Stanley, 88, had been a teacher for 40 years. When he retired, he was proud, but also hollow. "No one needs me anymore," he said. But that wasn't true. He just hadn't redefined what being needed looked like. Purpose doesn't retire. It just changes shape. Maybe you don't build houses anymore, but you build confidence in your great-grandkids. Maybe you don't run meetings, but you show up for someone grieving. Maybe you don't solve big problems, but you solve loneliness with a smile to your neighbor. The most important work you may do now isn't for legacy or applause. It may be this: waking up with kindness in your heart, curiosity in your eyes, and the courage to ask, how can I bring light today? Even just a little? That's not regret. That's redemption. Final thoughts: reaching your 80s is no small thing. It's a landmark, built on decades of love, loss, effort, change, and resilience. And with that strength comes new challenges. But facing them doesn't make you weak. It makes you honest. You've lived long enough to see life clearly, unpredictable, sometimes unfair, but still deeply worth showing up for. So which of these 5 truths struck you the most? Was it the silence as your social circle shrinks? The frustration of a body that doesn't recover like it used to? The discomfort of needing help? The feeling of being invisible? Or the ache of unclear purpose? Whatever it was, I hope you felt seen, because you're not alone. Not in the slowing down, not in the forgetting, not in the wondering. And here's the good news. Even now, even at this stage, you still get to choose. Choose connection. Choose rest. Choose to ask for help. Choose to speak louder or softer. Choose to forgive yourself. Choose to honor yourself. This chapter isn't the end. It's the deep part of the story. The part where small gestures mean more than grand ones ever did. The part where your presence becomes your power. Thank you for being here. Leave a comment below. What did you learn today? And how do you plan to use it? Your words matter. Your voice is welcome. And your presence is valued. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.